This is the setup. Just this. Okay? So if you can't hear my voice that well, I'm going to try my best. Enjoy. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. Now, traditionally, you don't really see me face to face, and that's mainly because I always just record into my phone. You could usually just see the images for the Dragon Ball videos, but today we're going to be actually doing something very, very different. Something that you probably don't expect, but if you've kept in touch with the channel, you just might expect. Today, we will be going over influencer boxing, and not only that, we will be building our own KSI pay-per-view card. Now, it really shouldn't be a mystery that I'm an influencer boxing fan. If you followed my videos for a while now, you'll see that I've been to an actual Misfits event with the Albert vs. Paige VanZant card. I haven't only just watched that one, I've been following Misfits since the beginning. Even way before Misfits was even a thing, when influencer boxing was at its high. We're all the way back to KSI, to Logan Paul, to then Gibb versus Austin McBroom. I've been in touch with the scene for a very long time now. So I thought, just as a fun little treat, I've been seeing a lot of creators out there create their own cards, create their own hypothetical fights. So I thought, since Gibb is finally fighting Slim, I would create the next big KSI pay-per-view card. So, if you are a fan of influencer boxing, make sure you guys hit a like, share, and subscribe, as this is the first time I've ever done anything like this. I don't really, know what to do here, but, we're just gonna roll with the punches. Alright, Mr. Mams Taylor, today I'm gonna be doing your job for you, so take good notes. And if any of my actual fights get added to a potential KSI card, or even KSI fights the opponent I'm going to put down later, maybe just pass me a Misfits ticket to that card and shoot. That'd be amazing.
What?
Alright, so before I even start the card, I will let you all know that it's going to be 9 fights in total, and that includes the main event with KSI. There will be 2 prelims, 3 undercard fights, and 4 main card fights. Yeah, it's not exactly traditional, and usually KSI cards aren't that big, but we had the Prime card last year that had 10 fights on there. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to throw some fun fights out there, and let's see how it goes. Also, another disclaimer, I didn't go outside of the Misfits roster. I stayed primarily within it, because I don't really care about searching up other influencers that may potentially box. I'm just gonna go with what Misfits has brought to us so far. So you won't see any names like DDG, people basically that haven't fought in Misfits before. You won't see any of those type of names. You'll just be seeing names that have already fought on Misfits. Alright, now, with the 9 fights only being Misfits fighters except for the person that KSI is fighting, let's start off with the prelims. Starting off the night of the KSI return card, it is an Argentinian King versus Puli Arif 2. Now, in their first fight, it was very, very wonky. It was very confusing because a lot of people expected Argentinian King to back up his crazy trash talk, and he made 4 people pull out to that point. So we were expecting something big. So then for Puli to go in there and arguably win almost 3 rounds to the 5, people thought that Puli got robbed. So I think before Argentinian King goes into big level fights, I think he should see where his ceiling is at. And another thing to add to that is Puli showed up in that fight just out of condition, out of shape. He pulled up in 2-3 days notice. He literally showed up for fight week, and that was his training week. So now with the confidence that Puli got from the first fight, let's see where Puli could possibly go to. Let's see if he can actually beat AK. Now, going on to the next one, we go to the older fellas of Misfits, where we introduce Adam Brooks against the guy that basically pummeled Slim's face in, Tom Zenetti. Now, both older fellas are in there to crack, they're in there to hurt their opponent. It's such a great fight when you think about it. I'm not 100% sure the age gap between the two, but I think this is honestly pretty leveled, considering that, yes, Tom Zenetti went in there and lost to Slim and Jarvis, but now he's in the range of somebody that's actually his age, almost the exact same amount of experience. And I think it would just be a cracking fight to have both these guys absolutely swinging for 4 rounds straight to see who could either got the other one out of there or see who could win the points decision. We've seen that both guys have a very, very energetic dog in their nature. So I'd love to see these guys just crack it out and see who would be the last man standing. Now, what's the possibility of Tom Zenetti actually coming back to Misfits? I don't really know, because the last time he was on Misfits, he was a co-main event slot. I don't think he'd want to be bumped all the way down to a prelim, but it's just a fun fight to think about. So that wraps up the 2 prelims. So now, let's get on to the undercard. Starting off the undercard of the KSI return card is OJ Rose versus Ed Matthews. I think it'd be pretty funny to have OJ's translator or trash talker there with him going back and forth with Ed Matthews. Just imagine that. Now, who do I think would win that fight? I think it would go to OJ. But here's the thing. Ed Matthews doesn't properly train for these fights. Every time he gets these fights, they're literally all last minute. So, with that being said, I would love to see Ed Matthews really sit down on a good 4-6 week camp. I don't know, just like a traditional boxing camp, to see where he can go, get used to the higher weight. The weight would probably be around like 165. I think that's fair for both guys. But to answer the question, who do I think would win? Well, from what I've seen so far, I think OJ gets it, but Ed Matthews has got a right hand on him. Next fight after that would be a title shot. A title shot for the Misfits women's title with Carla Jade versus Leah Gotti. Now, I know there's a question out there, does Leah Gotti really deserve a title shot? Well, here's the thing. I think she would be okay. I think she'd be warranted to get a title shot, mainly because Carla got the title shot off of the same type of requirements. She only fought one person, she beat that person, and then she got a title shot. So I think if Carla Jade had the opportunity to challenge the title off of only one win, I think Leah Gotti should have the exact same. Now, just imagine the press conference with both these girls. I think they would hate each other. I think they would hate each other before the bell, before the press week, before everything. If Carla were to win that easily, then maybe you could open up conversations for maybe a potential fight with Elle Brooke. But with the way Elle Brooke's career is going right now, it would take a lot to make that fight go together. So yeah, I think that would be a great championship women's fight. It'd probably be like the scrappiest women's fight in Misfits regardless. Oh man, it's either Carla bloodies up Leah's face or Leah just beats the dog shit out of Carla. Oh, that'd just be amazing. Now going forward, we bring back the main event contender against Saul Poppy in the form of Amadeus Ferrari against BJ Flores' own Tristan Ham. Amadeus Ferrari goes in there to brawl, and Tristan Ham, he goes in there with zero fear. He's gone in there with Le'Veon Bell, one of the best guys in the scene right now, showed zero fear, and yeah, he gassed out. I was there, I saw it. He was basically dead for a good 2 rounds-ish, but he still showed heart, and he still showed that he was still in there. That fight, I think it'd have to be scheduled for at least 4 to 5 rounds. I don't even think it goes 4 to 5 rounds. It's either Amadeus gasses himself out or he knocks out Tristan Ham. Still a lot of questions surrounding Tristan Ham. Is he the most improved boxer of the Misfits roster of this year? He just started in January and he went from just the smallest level to the biggest level. I think this would be Tristan Ham's biggest test by far, because Amadeus Ferrari would just be in there just to kill him, really. And he would definitely get under Tristan Ham's skin, so I'd love to see how that fight would have gone, or could potentially go. I bet you're asking a pretty big question. Why not make the rematch with Ashley Roxu? Well, my reasoning behind it was that Ashley Roxu is a bit of in a sticky situation. He has realistically 3 options in Misfits, which is pretty good for him, but not very good for him fame-wise, going up the ladder-wise. Misfits can either have him go into a title shot with Anthony Taylor, which I think would be very ill-advised. They can have the 2 rematches. But with those rematches, it just goes back down a level, and I don't think Ashley Roxu wants to do that, in a sense, if that makes sense. Alright, well, small rant aside, let's get on to the main card of the KSI return card. Now, starting off the main card, we go back to the lightweights with Joey Knight versus Wally Sharks. Now, I know that Misfits is attempting to put together Joey Knight versus Dave Fogarty. I think the Dave Fogarty Joey Knight fight would be a good one. But if I had to pick between that and Wally Sharks, I would definitely pick Wally Sharks. And whoever would win that fight would have good grounds to go up a level and maybe challenge the winner of Lil Cray Cray, Yuddy, or maybe even go for a title shot against Dean. Now, we don't even know if Wally Sharks is going to return to Misfits. I think he will, but I think it's going to have to be on like a big card like this, especially after his last performance, which wasn't really that good. So I think this next fight for Wally will really figure out where he's going to be going next in his boxing career regardless, because he took a lot of punishment in that fight with Dean, and it's only carried. Like, when I saw his performance against that one guy on his own promotion, it didn't look that good. I know it's shaking off the ring rust and everything, but it's just scary to see that, and you don't want to see someone that young. He's my age. He's like, I think we're like both 20. You don't want to see somebody like that have like CTE going on in life. You don't want to see that. Let them go on and do something else. But if that's Waleed's calling, then let him do it. But I think Waleed should definitely have an opportunity to be on a KSI card. I think Joey should be on a KSI card, which is why just put them both together, be a cracking fight. Now, the third fight going up the main card will be HS Tiki-Taki versus really any heavyweight out there. I kind of wanted to put HS on this card just because I want him to be back out there and active. I don't think he's going to accept a fight on a non-pay-per-view undercard. I think he wants to either main event non-pay-per-views or be on a pay-per-view card. I don't think he's a pay-per-view star just yet, but I think if they build him the right way, he can be. So really, when it comes to HS, the one I had in mind was Chase. I honestly don't mind that fight because there's a lot of questions about HS, and with Chase, he's like the gatekeeper of the heavyweight division. So put those two in there. Great promo, great sound bits. Really just chaos with those two, and let's see how that fight goes. Let's see where HS is, if he's just a giant Ed Matthews, or if he's actually going to be a real threat in the scene. Now, I can't really gauge where HS will be going after his fight against George Fensom, because George Fensom just gave up. He didn't give a fight. So Chase Demore will go in there. He'll give a fight. He'll do everything he can do. So let's see how HS can deal with that type of thing. Now, I know there's a big weight discrepancy since HS fights at a good like 205, while Chase is like way bigger. I think like 220, 215. But I don't know. Let's just see how it goes. I think it'd be a great test to see where HS is at. If HS wants the big fights, then he should be able to prove himself against the lower people, if that makes sense. Not saying that Chase Demore is a low name, but you know. Now, going on to the co-main event, another rematch from this year. It's not Danny Aarons versus Danny Simpsons. It's Elle Brooke versus Paige VanZant. I think that Elle Brooke deserves an opportunity like this. She's main evented 2 cards, and Misfits are definitely trying to push her to be the next pay-per-view star. So the best way to do it is to get all the attention from KSI returning now onto Elle. Because if Elle shocks the world and knocks out or beats Paige VanZant, then she can go on to be a pay-per-view star easily in my opinion. So I think Elle Brooke should definitely have this opportunity to be a co-main to KSI's card, especially if she wins against Paige VanZant. Also brings up another question. How is the new Elle with Leon Wills gonna fare against Paige VanZant? Leon Wills always installs a nasty gas tank into his fighters. So I would love to see how Elle, with the pressure of Paige, would be able to do against Paige, and even see if she can knock Paige out. I was there at the Paige VanZant fight, where Elle dropped her in the first round, and I literally got up off my seat. Like, just look at the clip right now. Oh! Hooray! Yeah, I was going nuts. But when I was there seeing it in person, when Paige VanZant recovered fairly quickly, I thought that Paige VanZant got 4 rounds onto Elle, to be honest. But when I looked back at it and actually watched it, I could see how they could give Elle the draw. Now, what are the chances that Paige VanZant actually takes the fight? I think pretty high, because she wanted Wembley as a main event. I don't know if she would fill out Wembley with Elle Brooke. I don't think so. But if you have KSI at the top of the bill, that's so much attention on you. And not only that, but you have your US audience as well. Elle wants to silence the doubters, and she wants to get those big pay-per-view fights and make herself a real name, which I think she does. I think the hurdle of Paige VanZant needs to be crossed. I think this would be a great fight, great opportunity for both ladies, and if there's another draw or someone loses, then they could just do a trilogy. Why not? Now, on to the main man himself. The big dog of Misfits, KSI, has returned. But who is he returning against? Now, I don't know who exactly he'll return against. I have a name in mind, but this is how I want to see KSI return. For one, no influencers. No influencers. If Slim does a job against Gib, maybe, just maybe, you can make the KSI Slim fight. If not, zero influencers in the talk. No warm-up, straight into a big fight. So for KSI's next fight, I think it would be best decided for him to do 8 rounds. Me personally, I would rather just see KSI go for 8 rounds. I'm done with him doing 6 rounds. I'm okay with it for the Tommy Fury performance because we had a lot of questions going into that. But now he's got that experience under his belt. What are we waiting for? Make 8 rounds for KSI. Gib and Slim are doing it. Slim has one of the worst gas tanks in Misfits. KSI has one of the best. So, what's the problem? I get it. If the money's not right, 6 rounds is just fine. But, like I said, for me, and I think a lot of fans personally, I think we're done with watching KSI do just 6 rounds. Now, KSI's next fight isn't going to be Tommy Fury. Let's be honest. They're going to have KSI go into a fight, get nice and warmed up, and then probably go into a Tommy Fury, Jake Paul, something high caliber. I think that's what they're going to try and do with KSI. I think the game plan for KSI should be this. 2 more fights. 1, his 8-round debut, and 2, either an endgame fight, a retirement fight, where it's either Tommy Fury 2 or Jake Paul. Now, with that being said, like I said before, 0 influencers should be on the table, unless they get to that high standard. So I actually do have a name in mind for a good 8-round bout. I know he just lost his last boxing performance, but his last boxing performance was against Nate Diaz. I'm talking about KSI versus Jorge Masvidal. Right now, the perception of KSI is very low. He went in there with a pretty average boxer, and he lost basically just doing jumping jacks. He has most likely 0 respect from the boxing world, or maybe all the respect in the world, because maybe he edged it out, maybe he did, but in the fashion he did it is nothing commendable, and it's definitely not rewatchable. I think KSI needs to go in there with a war with somebody, and I think Jorge Masvidal is the best guy to do it, especially since in his last fight, there were also questions about if he won it. So, put these guys together, let KSI have a proper test, and let's see if Jorge Masvidal can end the hype train. Now, Jorge Masvidal also has a gas tank, so KSI could definitely be buried in some deep waters with him. But KSI also has power. In his next fight, he's most likely going to be fighting at 185. So with that in mind, he's going to have the power advantage over a Jorge Masvidal. He may not have the experience advantage because Jorge Masvidal has been in the game for so long and been only cracked, I think, only 1 or a few times in the UFC. But still, it's a great test for KSI. Let's see if he can get over this hurdle, and then after that, he is properly and finally ready for either Jake or Tommy again. Just imagine KSI and Jorge Masvidal going back and forth. I don't know if you've noticed, but I love when fighters talk shit. I love it when they just argue and bark at each other. It's just amazing. It's just amazing to see, and it builds the tension. It builds the tension. So when other people are just watching these guys be quiet and everything, you're gonna have people more attentive to these influencers yelling at each other, throwing bottles at each other at press conferences, and really just making noise. So I think with these type of, well, I just think that KSI versus Masvidal would be a great fight to get people talking. It'd get the UFC audience involved. It would get the boxing people involved again. It'd definitely get Jake Paul's eye. Check out this amazing full card poster made by SGD. He made me pay a lot, but this is what I wanted, and it is beautiful. But with that being said, this is the full card of a hypothetical KSI pay-per-view card. 9 good fights in total, and KSI returning to the ring with a test. What do you guys think about the full card? Is there any fights that seemed a little weird to you? Is there a few fights that just seemed outlandish and just totally impossible? Or were there some fights that you think that are actually going to be put together? Again, Mr. Mavs Taylor, if somehow you watch this, please, if you make these fights, or, you know, just copy off my thing completely, just get me a ticket to one of the Misfits events in London. I will buy a plane ticket. I will get myself over there to the UK. I will get myself everything I need to do, and I'll just enjoy the fights. Sorry that my setup was just so shit today. I don't really have mics or anything like that, so I hope you still enjoyed it anyways. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching the video. I really hope you guys enjoyed. It's I think it's my first ever influencer boxing discussion video. It's been more of like a rant, more of like a talk along, just to like get my thoughts out there. I'm not really following my script with this one. I'm just giving my ideas, and I'm just giving you some artwork as well. So if you guys enjoyed this, please make a like, share, and subscribe. Do everything you need to do. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Peace. I also challenge any influencer out there to see if they can make their own card or make it even better than mine. You know, some people have better perceptions of the influencer boxing scene. I don't doubt it. So yeah, I'd love to see what other people got.